and all these things shall be added unto you. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Oh, what a beautiful song that is, and what a beautiful day this is. The last Sunday, our 5th Sunday in August. Reverend Maggie and I wanted to bring us into focus by our talk title, Living in Balance. With everything that's going on in our culture, in our community, in our lives. Mm-hmm. It's so important that we find balance.
Right. Well, we know where that is. We know what it feels like when we are living in balance. And I'm going to tattle on myself. I've caught myself in the last few weeks behaving outside of balance, having the full understanding and recognition and acceptance that we are, as Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I have been fully in my human experience and busted myself a few times lately, hence why we're bringing it up, because if we're all one and we're experiencing and observing ourselves acting out of balance, then let's just take the reminder and bring it to the table for discussion with everybody, because I'm sure maybe one or two of you watching today are experiencing that as well.
That quote is really powerful, and it's also true that we're human. Our human nature is having a spiritual experience. Mm-hmm. Now, I have a story that we love, and it does come into this for a very, in Thailand. Now, in 1957, there was a monastery that needed to move its location. And as they're moving everything, that this great big clay Buddha that they had to heft and get to the new location. Now, in the moving process, it was dropped, and there was a crack in the clay. And what they noticed was underneath that was gold. And as they peeled away the clay that was covering, there was this large gold, solid gold Buddha. And this, as they reflected on how could this happen, in the 18th century, this village where this monastery was going to be attacked by a Burmese army. And in fact, they were. But before that happened, the monks at that time covered this solid gold Buddha in clay and then carved out this beautiful clay Buddha. So when it was occupied by the Burmese army, they looked at the clay Buddha as just, lovely little Buddha there, but they didn't realize it was solid gold. And this story is a great way of, in our own lives, when the challenges come into our life, when we find ourselves out of balance, that's actually when there can be a crack in us where we allow that golden light of God to move through us. Mm-hmm. And that's how it starts, isn't it?
It is. I love that story because it reminds me of what is at the core, at our essence. Piled over is flesh and bone, and it's our human suit or a space suit to be in this human experience on this planet. But the reminder of the truth of what is always just beneath the surface, and how that has the opportunity to shine through at the most appropriate moments when we are dropped or bumped up against or just experiencing some friction in our lives. And I really like this quote from Jeff Brown, American author, where he says that we must bring spirituality and humanness together, arriving at the understanding that spirituality is reality. It's not somewhere we go to rise above or seek refuge from the challenges of the human experience, but the experience that is all-encompassing and ever-inclusive. I really appreciate this reminder of the wholeness that we are, and that not only do I need to, as we talked about in the extreme self-care talk last week, we need to nurture and tend to and strengthen and solidify our spiritual center. And it would be all wonderful if that's where we existed, in my meditation room with my incense lit and my chanting music and my favorite scents and sounds, but it's not. It is that I get invited to get up off the cushion, to put my journal down and stop my music and join life. It happens outside of that room. And it's just a constant balance. I love the picture that you had at the start of the slide, walking that tightrope of knowing who and what and how we were created, and choosing to be that when we are standing in line at the grocery store and someone's credit card won't go through. Choosing to be that when we are stuck in traffic at Creekside. Reverend Gary and I were just talking about this yesterday. Choosing to be that when our children act in a way that we don't understand or disagree with. That's wherein lies the challenge for me. And having the recognition and acceptance of this ebb and flow, the ask of being a spiritual being on a human experience, it is so powerful to just simply live in the awareness that we're not going to get it right 100% of the time, and be easy with ourselves when we tip a little too far one side or the other. What do you think?
Well, I love this quote, and I love what you had to share about it. This, I must tell on myself, there are times when I get caught up in my stuff, my anger, my frustration, and the world's just not working the way I want it to work. The traffic's not moving the way I want it to work. And I forget my connection with the divine. I've forgotten that I'm solid gold inside. And it is one of the blessings that we have in unity is we do know there's one power and one presence in the universe. We know that reality. And when we can bring that reality into the very presence of our being, our humanness and our spiritual nature are one. There's no separation. And when we can be in that oneness, then we can be sitting in the traffic. We can be sitting in the living room, having had colorful words with our partner. I'll just share that. That happened last night. And we can stop, recognize our spiritual nature, and begin to look at it from another perspective. We can breathe deeply. What is the fear underneath this feeling? And when I go to that, I know that that is not the truth. The truth is I'm always safe. The truth is I love my partner. And isn't it better for me to choose love rather than my righteousness? Isn't it better to choose love and relax, and rather than rushing just, I'll leave a little space here at this intersection and let you just go ahead. You need to turn too. And we'll all get there together. This is this balancing and choosing to live in balance. Chose this quote from Hillary Clinton because it talks about this essence for our lives. Our lives are a mixture of different roles. We wear lots of different hats. Most of us are doing the best we can to find whatever the right balance is. For me, that balance is family, work, and service. I think, quite frankly, the reason I chose this quote is that Hillary really does set on the table what's most important for us to have balance. If I'm working all the time, I'm not giving any quality time to my family. Mm-hmm. If I'm giving all of my time to my family and not getting any of my work done, or if I'm busy being of service to the world and I'm having an effect, but I neglect my family and my work, I'm not living in balance. Mm-hmm. And I do all of those things. I'm not perfect. And we're not going to get to a place where we're always in balance. Because the nature of life is there's balance, there's imbalance. We adjust. That's why we have seasons. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to fly from New York to London, it's not a straight line. The plane takes off, and because of wind, and we're going this way, it needs to be adjusted for that route. Adjusted. So it's a ziggly little line to get from point A to point B. I would venture to guess that in all of our lives, when it comes to our family, to our work, and our service, we're adjusting ourselves to find that sweet spot where we can be productive, we can have play, and we can be of service, and we can feel that enrichment. And it will grow us because it'll constantly challenge us to just adjust again. Just adjust again.
Right. When we were preparing for our conversation and talk this Sunday, and we came across this quote, it stuck with me. It's astonishing how many roles we actually play. How many roles from the time you start to become coherent at the start of your day, even before you put your feet on the floor. Before I put my feet on the floor, I am a mother, I'm a daughter, I am a boss, I am a coworker, I'm a minister, I'm a neighbor, I'm a friend, I'm a dog mom, all before I even put my feet on the floor. Those are the roles that I'm just skating in between all day long, every day. And how important it is to continue to remember the constant between every single one of those roles and every single role that you play and that you play, we share one in common, and that is to be a divine child of God. Every day, it is the common thread between humanity and the infinite of the divine. And in 1 John chapters 6 and 7, we read that if we claim that we experience a shared life with him and continue to stumble around in the dark, we are obviously lying through our teeth. We're not living what we claim. But if we walk in the light with God himself being the light, we also experience a shared life with one another. Metaphysically, I love this quote and the fact that darkness is what allows us to stumble around. The metaphysical interpretation of darkness is chaos. It is discombobulation, and it is undefined potential. But when we are aligned in the light, when we are aligned in truth, when we are not carrying the heavy burden of being just in a human experience, then we are in alignment, in balance between being a spiritual being and having that human experience. And when we are able to do that, we are contributing to the human experience being more pleasant. We are able to cut each other a little slack from time to time. It's that niggling that says, I know you're in a hurry. I'm going to let you go on ahead in front of me. It's the forgiveness when someone has sharp words for you in that day or in that moment. It is a breath of understanding when you don't visually get an experience that we're witnessing, when it doesn't resonate with our individual morals, perhaps. But to get out of the misalignment and stumbling around in the unevolved, undefined potential in the darkness and stepping or readjusting and coming into the alignment with truth. That is where we all exist. That's where we can see and accept and love one another and love ourselves. That's often the challenge, isn't it?
It sure is. And this is so poignant, and we talk about this a lot. Mm-hmm. And it is this coming into this knowing of our oneness with God. The light is so significant. I remember when I was at University of California, Santa Cruz, in the theater department, and I had a theater professor. Anytime I passed her in the hall, she would grab me by the shoulders and Gary, lighten up! And I'd be like, okay. And what she was saying to me is, don't get bogged down in my humanness. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be perfect. It's all right to be a little messy. Mm-hmm. It's all right to try something new. It's all right to stretch out and be all that we can be. Like our blessing and our congratulations to our graduates. We see them as bright lights. We see them as expanding through whatever life gives them to claim their light, to claim their dream, to claim what is already theirs. That enrichment that comes from that solid gold interior we all have. And that is such a blessing. And what a blessing we can have on each other mm-hmm. by helping each other through those times of chaos, through times of grief, through times of challenge, to look in the mirror and embrace us just the way we are. The way we look when we get out of bed, or when we get out of the shower, or at the end of the day. And this is a life in balance. Not life in perfection, life in balance. And to bring this to a close, we have some takeaways. In order to living in balance, the first one is align in oneness with God. If we're spiritual beings having a human experience, or human beings having a spiritual experience, either way, we need to align in that oneness. And fortunately, as people in unity, we know and affirm in our prayer and in our being that we're one with God all the time. And as we align in that oneness, we can then take steps to adjust, and find our place no matter what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And number 2 is rest in the limitations of self. Now, when we are in our spiritual expression, we are unlimited. However, we took the agreement and the assignment to be a soul in a body in our human experience. In that, I'm never going to sing an opera. I do in the shower, but I will spare anyone outside of my bathroom. There are things that I just cannot do well. There are things that I was not created and put on this planet to do. I am a female. I am right-handed. I am a mother. I am a minister. I am a teacher. I am not a veterinarian, though I love animals. And we will make mistakes. The trick here is to observe the mistake. Watch our thoughts as they come across the horizon of our day. Grab on to those that are truthful and those that are not in alignment with our truth and not intended to elevate our vibration, bring something valuable to the collective consciousness, is to just let it go. Let it go. And I would say my dad's wisdom here is don't sweat the small stuff. I make mistakes every day. I say things I shouldn't have every day. I eat stuff I shouldn't have eaten every day. And when I beat myself up about it, when I am just mentally berating myself, I am surely creating imbalance. But when I can recognize it, see it, and accept it, I'm creating peace. I'm not giving it up. I'm maintaining my sense of peace and harmony and willingness to be a perpetual student. Like, well, red peppers make my tummy hurt. That's a limitation in this body.
And the third is relish this moment. It's the only one we're ever going to get. And relish, we can bring in our gratitude that whatever comes to us in life, whatever comes to us, we have all we need to navigate through it. And this is the challenge and the wonder and the awe of life. That in nature, right now, we can look out and we can see how everything is provided for us to handle whatever comes up. And we're always going to do it in the present moment. And it's from this having gratitude and calling upon the gratitude that we can offer forgiveness, that we can offer thanks, that we can offer a blessing. We can offer our experience, our hope, and our value. We can only choose to make a change in this moment. You can't change the past, and the future never gets here. So relish the moment. So living in balance is align in oneness with God, rest in the limitations of self, and relish this moment.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.